My name is Nicole Carrier-Titi, and I paint under the artist name Nicole Monique. One of the things I liked about the workshop is that other women were also working on their art at the same time. And I loved that we were supporting each other, giving each other feedback and ideas, suggestions. I like that sort of collaborative work, especially when it's women working together and especially when it's around activism and issues that we feel passionate about. So at this stage in my life, I would say the place where I feel my activism can make the most impact is as a member of the Roman Catholic Church, which would not have been something I would have imagined when I was in my 20s and 30s or even 40s. I originally stepped away from the Catholic Church because I was angry about the ways that they have been oppressive to especially people of color, third world people around the world. And this was even long before the sex abuse scandals of the more recent decade also made me very angry. But I also felt something missing in not participating in that. As a feminist, I love images of the female divinity, the goddess, and I love that the goddess is present almost everywhere in the world in some version or another. And as a Catholic, we revere the Mother of Jesus, the Blessed Mother Mary, in a very high status, unlike other Christian religions. And so for me, over time, I felt a melding of those two belief systems, a sense of the way that worshiping a female deity or a female divine or a female power can also embrace my Catholic tradition, because it does, it's a part of it. Yeah, as a married lesbian too, yes. So I identify as a woman, I identify as a lesbian, I identify as a feminist, I'm pro-choice. And in the lesbian community, to say you're Catholic is almost like saying, you know, you're purple and have horns. Because there's so much pain around the homophobia of the church. There are a lot of ex-nuns in the lesbian community. There's obviously been a lot of masochism, a lot of sex abuse against women and men, young boys and girls. So to say you are practicing is challenging. And then within the Catholic Church, to be out as a lesbian, as a married lesbian, is also challenging. I think I'm lucky that I am in Ithaca, New York, doing this because we belong to St. Catherine of Siena, which tends to be a very progressive church. We have a lot of connection to the Cornell community, and we've had some really wonderful priests. And the mission of the church is very much about creating a place for everyone. So my wife and I started going back to the church more than 20 years ago, 25 years ago perhaps, and we just made the decision that we were going to be there. We're going to be in the front row or the second row, and we're here, we're queer, get used to it, to use a 80s and 90s phrase you may remember. And that has been really rewarding, I think, for me. And over the years, one of the things that's been really neat about that is we've been there in the church long enough to see children grow up and to see them now coming out and being embraced by their families in a way that we weren't initially embraced by our own families. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that their parents were part of the community with us and saw us as active members, normal people, a normal marriage, the whole thing, so that when their kids came out, this was no longer a big, deep, dark secret that caused family rupture. And I think we might have been a little part of that. We make a point of introducing ourselves and making it clear that we're a couple because we want folks to know that this is a safe place to be. And I think that that's an important statement to make. I also am really clear with my priest and my pastoral associates and other staff, as well as other members of the church, you know, that I'm pro-choice. I have for a long time really enjoyed painting and drawing images of the Blessed Mother as goddess or with goddess or in some way connected to lesbian identity. I did a painting for my wife when we were newly together that said, the Blessed Mother loves lesbians. It was really powerful for my wife. You know, she just loved that idea that the Blessed Mother loves lesbians, you know. I don't know that that's a sacrilege. Some people might say that is. What that means to me is we are all beloved by whatever is holy. I believe God, goddess, whatever, the creator, loves all humanity, including those that some in society say are living their life the wrong way. And so this painting, I took a different slant on that, because in this one I'm claiming the status of, you know, sort of my multiple identities of, you know, woman, feminist, lesbian, pro-choice, and Catholic. And I don't feel like I have to choose between them. I don't feel like I have to make excuses for them. I do feel sometimes I need to explain them, and that's different than making an excuse. To me, there is no difference between praying a prayer to a saint or to a specifically identified religious person who once lived, and a symbolic or mystical person that some other religion says, you know, this is the person you pray to for this or for that. You know that many years ago I had a car accident, and it was very traumatic. This is actually when I started doing artwork again. In the hospital, a friend who's Catholic brought me two things. She brought me a rosary, and she brought me a little photograph of the Hindu god Ganesh, who's a male deity, but he's the god that you may have seen with the elephant head. He's the god you pray to help you get over adversity. I was paralyzed from the neck down. I needed all the help I could get. I prayed to anything and everything I could imagine, and I remember distinctly praying the Hail Mary, which is a prayer to the Blessed Mother, and invoking Ganesh and saying, you know, help me get over this. I don't see that as contradictory. Maybe some people would. I don't. And I fight to not have to be made to choose. When I had my car accident, I was hit by a truck, and it landed on top of my car and crushed me underneath. And I never lost consciousness. And I started praying right away. And I said the Serenity Prayer. I said the third step prayer, which is a prayer from the 12-step movement. And I prayed the Hail Mary. And it was a mantra in my head as I was, you know, feeling the crushing, hearing the glass breaking, wondering when it was going to stop. And then when it finally stopped, I just kept praying, kept praying, kept praying, kept praying. People came to the window, we got sent for help, kept praying, just stayed present with it. And at some point in this time, my nose was pressed all the way into my right breast because my neck was broken, and I was beginning to lose the ability to breathe. And my nose was filling up with moisture because my head was upside down. And I thought, I'm not going to be able to survive this. I'm not going to be able to keep breathing. But I kept praying, and I heard, stay calm and breathe. They'll get you out, and they'll fix it. You're not going to die. And I was very aware that it was coming from the crown chakra into my body, and I very much believed that was a visitation. It was female. It was the goddess. It was the Blessed Mother. Whatever it was, I knew I would be okay. And I never lost consciousness. I never went into shock. And it was over an hour before they got me out of the car. I believe I was visited. And it was after the accident and while I was hospitalized that I began painting again, which is something I hadn't done since I was a child. So in some ways, I feel this is a calling to create, because my life was spared that day. And not only was my life spared, but I was a quadriplegic that came back from that. And the Creator created all of us, but also created us as creative beings, right? You're creating by creating this project for us, by creating this video, by creating an opportunity for us artists to come together. I think it's what we're all meant to do, not me. I don't feel like I got this special gift. I think we all have it. And for me, I'd like to pay homage to that with my art. What would I say to younger women about wanting to be involved in a congregation? I would say, first of all, we each must know what feels right in our hearts. Whatever religion or belief system you may have been raised in or are joining later in life, if it feels right to you and you feel drawn to it and it makes you feel closer to your true self and you feel a sense of connectedness to others, to me that's God. You know, that sense of I have a life and I am connected to all life around me and I want to live it well and be kind and loving to others, and anything that will bring me more into that space in me and then let me be in the world and be that. Go for it. Go for it. Hail Mary, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.